2, 1. Yay! I'm so excited. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, world. So awkward. I'm so sorry. Here we go to Spotlight. Cool. So, hello everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Stand Up for a Cause. Today, District Comedy Showcase is in benefit of Synetic Theater's 2020 end-of-year campaign. I'm your host, Tom, and I am so excited to be doing this event. 1 second. I was just getting informed that we are in fact live. So,
Yes.
yeah. But please keep in mind, this is not an official Synetic event. I just really care about this theater, and I'm hoping that we can give them a hand in reaching their fundraising goals. So, make sure that you understand that the views expressed by myself tonight and by the other performers don't reflect the views of Synetic Theater. Also, tonight's show may contain content not suitable for children, so you have been warned. That being said, I've been an actor with Synetic since 2015, and they have been an integral part of my artistic, professional, and personal growth. Over the years, they have been creating dynamic, thoughtful, and entertaining shows, which I have been lucky enough to have had a hand in creating. But Synetic for me has been more than just a theater that I work for. They are truly like a family. This pandemic has been tough, especially for those of us in the arts. Your donations today not only support Synetic so that they can continue to create the shows that you love, but also to fund their classes, outreach initiatives, and all the other services that let them give back to the community. If you are watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, you can find the donation link in the video description, bit.ly/Synetic2020, or you can use the QR code in the corner there. But if you are... I forget which side it's on. But if you are watching on district-comedy.live, you can donate directly by clicking on the large Synetic icon towards the bottom of the webpage. So if you want to help support the arts, consider making a donation of any size, and if you can't, please like and share the stream, because that also helps. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Okay. All right. So, first up, please welcome our first comedian. He is from a small town in rural Virginia. He has spent his time working comedy clubs with his southern charm and edgy wit. His first time performing, he won the competition at Richmond Funny Bones Clash of Comics, and he has never looked back. You can hear him discussing growing up in a Christian home and working with children who have special needs, all while providing a fun and energetic take on all the things we want to say but never do. He just released his YouTube special, Grieving Productively. Please give it up for Winston Hodges. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, you never realize how long your website bio is until it's read on the internet. That's oh boy. I am sorry, Synetic Theater, you had to hear that, but I do love Tom going ahead and doing the classic, these views do not represent the theater. Oh, that's great. That is a good sign before stand-up comedy. It's just like, I just want to let you know, we absolutely do not agree with these people, but it is a lesser art form than actual theater, so they're the only people we could get to dedicate their time for free. We're very glad that they're here. I'm in a car. I'm sorry if my internet's not great. I'm in a car because I'm back home in the country celebrating the holidays with my family, and I forgot I agreed to do this. So here we are, not bailing on an event. That's exactly what we're doing. Comedy's crazy because it's just like I'm basically my own small business, which is pretty interesting, and like I'm in the middle of my small business is in the middle of a merger right now, which is just what I call when I steal internet from another small business. And I did a set the other night and a cop came by and I was like, oh boy, I don't know how to explain I'm yelling in my car to people that aren't here. It's gonna be a good look. Oh man. All right. We'll do this. It's great. We're raising money. Donate a bunch of money. I hear we're getting a gigantic stimulus check, so go ahead and write a check, post date it. I don't really know how how money works. All right, so we'll do comedy now. This is fun. Yeah. I don't know, man. I try to look on the bright side of everything that's going on right now. First of all, as a comedian with no real credits, it's pretty nice that we live in an era where credits don't really matter anymore. Like, it doesn't really matter where you've performed and who you've worked with, because if it did, then it would have been a real weird situation if Tom had been like, hey, you might have seen your next comedian at a place that's closed forever. The world's on fire. They opened for someone that died from the disease. So it's not really working out. So here we go. If you wanted to see him in a club, you should have thought about that a year ago. Thought about that. They're getting rid of bowling alleys, which is great. I think we should have done that a long time ago. I'm not a big bowling alley guy, mainly because they're extremely gross and they're just the worst date night of all time. Like, comedy is a great date night. There's probably some of you at home looking at this stream with your partner right now, and the beauty of comedy as a date night is at the end of your date, it doesn't matter how terrible it is. You just get to look at your partner and be like, thank God you don't do comedy. Oh my God. That was a close one. Oh, I'm so happy that you have a 401k, achievable dreams. We could have turned that show off at any time. That's pretty great. Nothing there. But bowling alleys are the worst date night. As good as comedy is, that's how bad bowling is. And I can just speak for myself. All right, here's my thoughts on bowling. I don't like it as a date night because every time I've ever been bowling, they've just legally been allowed to put how tiny my feet are on the back of the shoes. And I don't know. I think it should be a crime for bowling alleys to be able to give away third date information on a first date. That's just a personal opinion for me as a gentleman with small, petite, beautiful dancer's feet. It's just really tough. It's tough because you'll take a lovely lady bowling and she'll get to the counter and she'll be like, I'll have a size 6. And I got to be like, I'll have what she's having. So you want to go ahead and just roll those. Oh, look, honey, they've only got one pair. It's Velcro. We can share. This is a fun day. We're having a good time. And it is our anniversary. So I'm going to need you to drop the bumpers down because I'm trying to impress the lady and I'm breaking 100. All right. That's happening today for me, for bowling. I'll do some newer stuff. I don't care. We'll have fun. We'll work out some new stuff with my friends. I doing comedy before the pandemic. I was on the road a lot, eating out a lot, eating a lot of fast food. And I used to think that those places cared about me, but they don't. None of these like fast food places care about their customers at all. All right. I'll give you a perfect example. I've eaten the same thing at Panera Bread every week for like 10 years. Okay. Every time I go into Panera Bread, I get mac and cheese in a bread bowl. And for the side, I get a baguette. Okay, that's what I get every time I go. And it was so delicious. I was like, oh my God, they care about me so much. And then I realized that Panera Bread does not care about its customers because I've ordered that every week for 10 years and not once has anyone even come close to trying to stop me. Like, there hasn't been a single time where anyone's been like, hey, you don't want to do that. It's almost exclusively someone being like, hey, fatty, you want a cookie? And I'm like, I would like 2 cookies. You get a price break when you get 2. I order cookies in gross. That's what I like to do, get a gross of cookies. I don't know, man. I'm Facebook friends with a lot of witches, a lot of Wiccan people. This is a theater company, so you guys just call them performers. I'm Facebook friends with like all these witch ladies, and I don't know how many witches is too many witches to be Facebook friends with. But I can speak from firsthand experience. 13 feels like a shitload of witches. Like, that feels like too many witches. Like, technically, I'm Facebook friends with a baker's coven. And I don't know. It's like, and they all started to come out, like, when that new Sabrina came out, because that's, like, their Passion of the Christ. And it was, like, finally, representation. And it's like, all right, calm down. Oh my gosh, that's not... I talked about witches once, and then somebody actually was like, hey, Winston, my ex-wife was a witch. And I had to be like, oh my God, did you divorce your wife? Like, did you guys get divorced because she was a witch? and he just screamed at me, "No, we got divorced because of my drinking." Oh my God. I was like, do you guys realize how much you have to drink to make witchcraft the second biggest problem in your marriage? That's a lot of alcohol you're taking into your body, because you can win a lot of fights blackout drunk with someone being like, "Oh, Winston, you're an alcoholic," and I get to be like, "Well, Meredith, you're a damn witch, so I don't even understand." Like, unless you're making a mixed drink in that cauldron, I don't really care what you have to say. Let's go ahead. Is there any way to do that? I don't know. It was I try. I don't like to hurt people's feelings, so when I wrote that joke, I talked to like a witch person and was like, "Hey, witch lady, like, is that offensive?" And she was like, "Screw you. I can't believe you would say that." And I had to look this witch lady in the eye and be like, "Well, screw you. I can't believe we're arguing in a hot topic. Like, what is even happening in my life? Can I see the manager?" And they just brought out a scarier witch. That's actually what happened. I was like, "Oh no, it's the queen." Like, what are we doing? I view men and women very differently because I'm a white male comedian. And when I was born, they were like, "You must talk about this." I think men and women are really different, and I only think they're different when I'm watching serial killer documentaries. That's the only time where I notice the differences, like my biases, right? And I'm trying to break myself with these biases. Like every time I watch a serial killer documentary and it's a male serial killer who's killed a bunch of women, I'm like, "Oh no, what a monster. How could he do that?" And then every time it's a female serial killer who's killed a bunch of men, I'm like, "Oh, what did those guys do though?" They did something, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I've been in a lot of relationships and I feel like I've come this close like a dozen times to being like, "You don't even know how to hold that knife right." Stab, stab. Oh, it's like mansplaining my way onto the ID channel. No one wants to do that. I used to teach. I don't teach anymore. I was making way too much money. I was really killing the game here. Yeah, this is just my performance car. I quit my teaching job. I gave a 2 weeks notice to move to Washington, D.C. and it's pretty cool. I liked it, but like, I think it's hilarious that as a teacher I got to give a 2 weeks notice, because like, I was not the dude that should have been allowed around children for 2 weeks after I'd given up. Like, that's not really it. I finally got to teach what I wanted to teach, though. It was great. One of my students came in and was like, "Mr. Hodges, what are we going to learn about today?" And I was like, "Put your mask on, because we're learning how to throw tear gas back at the cops. Let's go." Get in these streets. And one of my kids was like, "But I'm a Republican." And I'm like, "Don't worry, you can put the statues back up. I've checked out officially." Well, that's my time. This has been amazing. Please donate a ton of money. Tom, thank you so much for having me. This was really wonderful.
Give it up for Mr. Winston Hodges. Oh my God, so funny. Thank you so much. And you can follow him on Instagram at Winston H Comedy if you would like. And we're gonna just keep things moving on to our next comic. So next up, we have a young comedian who has tried hard, but still doesn't understand how the world works yet and finds it very funny. He has only been in comedy for a year and a half, but has already opened for touring acts in his hometown of San Diego. Please give it up for Mr. As soon as I can find him to spotlight, Daniel Flores! Woo, 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 woo!
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, this is great. I was so stoked to be here, and then I heard some material may not be suitable for children. I was like, should I be here? I don't know. Like, do I need to leave until it's my time to go up? I'm not sure. But I'm here. I'll be gone in 10 minutes. I'll have left the room. We can make all the R-rated jokes, whatever. Yeah, my name is Daniel Flores. I was really fat growing up, and I got bullied a lot in school for it, which sounds really normal until you find out I was homeschooled. Then it's a lot worse. Yeah, I didn't notice. It was like, it took one day my mom came into my room and was like, "Daniel, get in the car. We are getting you a trainer's bra. Okay, you need it." And I was cool with it at first because I was going to be the first out of all my 9-year-old friends to wear a bra. That was pretty cool. But reality started setting in, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, I'm getting a bra. Am I turning into a girl? Because that was logical to 9-year-old Daniel. And I went crying to my parents about it, and they had to sit me down and calm me down and go, no, Daniel, you're not turning into a girl. You're turning into a woman. Grow up. It didn't stop. I was like, I got tired of it eventually. So when I was 14, I decided I wanted to lose weight. So I did. I lost 30 pounds in 2 months. And yeah, it was pretty great because I found out how quickly my parents could swing from, Daniel, you're so fat, you put cracks in the sidewalk where you step, to, Daniel, you're so skinny, you're falling in the same cracks in the sidewalk. But that wasn't the worst of it. No, I got the worst of it from my grandma. Okay. When she first saw me after losing weight, the look of disappointment could only be described as I had ruined years of her work fattening me up for the kill. I remember that day. After the disappointment faded from her face, she just kind of looked at me with narrowed eyes and went, Daniel, are you hungry right now? And it'd been a long drive to her house. So I was like, yeah, Grandma, I'm so hungry. I could eat a whole horse. That was a mistake. Here's the thing. My grandma owns a horse right now. And back then she owned 2 horses. Okay, it was weird. Yeah. Like I mentioned, I was homeschooled. My parents decided to homeschool me when I tested out of the 3rd grade before entering kindergarten. And I'm proud to say that thanks to their due diligence educating me, I can still test out of the 3rd grade. That's something. Thank you, Mom. Be proud of me. Yeah, no. Okay, look, here's the thing. I think homeschooling is a good choice for educating your children if you are capable of providing them with that education. My parents went on the show, Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? And lost. By the time I was in 5th grade, they just handed me a laptop and went, okay, buddy, here's some online classes. You go kill it. And I'm going to get real with you guys. It's a live stream audience. I can't see you, so I don't know how you're reacting. Just deal with it. Get real for a minute. Being in all online classes for most of my childhood was really lonely. Okay, I spent a lot of my day behind a computer screen. I didn't get to go out and see other kids my age much. The few times I would get bullied a lot. And honestly, it just really sucked. You know? I was thinking about this last February. I was kind of just looking up at the night sky, and I was going, man, I wish everyone could experience what it was like for me to have been homeschooled. I'd never seen a shooting star until that day, guys. But my bad. This is fun, though. I'm having fun for Tom's fundraiser. Thank you, Tom, for having me. This is awesome.
Woo!
A little more, yeah, a little more about me growing up. I was the youngest of 2 in my family, and I totally get why my parents stopped after me. Okay, it makes sense. Because my brother, he's killing it. He worked his butt off in school to get into a good college for computer science. And now he works for Google. And I don't have the skill set it takes to work for a company like Google. I don't even think Bing would hire me. Okay, that's where I'm at. Parents will swear to you that they don't have a favorite child. But when one is working for one of the biggest tech companies in the world and the other is telling jokes on the internet, like it's not that hard. He's my favorite too. It's all right. Yeah, no, I get it. You know, he has his career laid out for him. I still have this haircut. It's disappointing. I think what happened was my brother was born and my parents were like, dude, kids are cool. Let's make more. And then I came around and they were like, oh, they can turn out like this too. All that is to say, though, like, I know my parents still love me. Like, they told me all the time growing up. I remember one morning, my mom came in and told me, Daniel, I love you today. What the heck is going on tomorrow, Mom? What's going on? When did my mother's love become a subscription-based model? I'm confused. I don't know. I'm a Latino, Daniel Flores, Latino last name. Diversity. It's a big thing in theater, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm Latino. I feel like my personality is really white passing, though. Like, I get more offended when people insult white people than Latinos, okay? Like if someone tells me, Latinos just take jobs from hardworking Americans, I'm like, well, I am just glad you think I am qualified to take your job. That is nice. Me and hardworking in the same sentence? Thank you. It's too much. But yeah, that doesn't bother me. But then someone will go, all white people are racist. And I'm like, well, not all white people. I'm extremely offended on all of their behalf, which is something they love to do to us. I don't know. Yeah. It's not just that, though. Like, I don't speak any Spanish, which has gotten me fired from so many fast food jobs. Like, you wouldn't believe. Great English, though. Fantastic English. Great, awesome English. I've been told I have a really white voice, which, would be really helpful if ICE ever decided to just give me a call. They'd hit up my line like, Mr. Flores, and I go, actually, it's Mr. Flores. It's French, and this is weird. Please never call back. Yeah, I know my personality is white passing. Like, I had a blind friend, and it dawned on me one day that I'd never told him I was a Latino because he invited me to a Weezer concert. And I was like, dude, there's no way. You definitely think I am white. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. So I was like, I didn't know you were a big Weezer fan. And he was like, not really, but it seemed like something you'd be into. I was really offended, but I also really like Weezer. So it's a great show. Yeah, it's not a surprise to me that I have this personality. Like, I know where I came from, okay? I grew up in a middle-class family in the suburbs, and I had a lot of privilege for the average Latino in the United States. Like a lot of Latinos grow up in areas with gang activity, and I know I would never make it in a gang, okay? If I was in a gang, I would probably do something like, I would try to organize a potluck. That's what I would do. I would walk up to my gang like, hey, gang, which is not how you address a gang. That's your first clue. I don't belong there. But I'd be like, hey, gang, this Sunday in the park, we're having a potluck. I'll stop by Whole Foods. I'll bring some avocado ice cream and kale chips for everybody. Who's in? Anyone gluten-free? And then they shoot me or something. I don't know. I guess I'll end on this. I was talking with a friend earlier, and he was complaining to me. He was like, Daniel, I have a problem. Girls only want me for my body. They look at me like I'm a piece of meat. And I was like, dude, I am not familiar with your issues, okay? Hold on. Take this somewhere. Like, okay, the women in my life don't know me for my looks, but I am known as a generally emotionally available person, which I guess means they look at me like I'm a piece of broccoli. Kind of gross, but good for your health. Suck on my own, but I make one heck of a third wheel casserole. Me, that's been my time. Please donate to Synetic Theater. They're awesome. Thank you for having me, Tom.
Woo, 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 woo. Keep it going for Mr. Daniel Flores. Great set, buddy. And if you want, you can follow him on Instagram at flower.power.df. And now we're going to have a brief message where I talk about Synetic again. So, this year has been challenging for us all, and no one is sad to see 2020 go. However, as they look back on this year, Synetic has so much to be grateful for. Thanks to the support of their patrons and the commitment of their company members, they have never stopped innovating, creating, and performing. The pandemic has forced them to change the way they make our art, but it hasn't stopped them from making connections. In fact, the digital landscape has allowed them to increase their reach. Their first ever all-digital production, The Decameron, featured a record number of artists and was able to be viewed by audiences all over the world. The first incarnation of our Madloba Physical Theater Conference was similarly international and featured over 200 participants. Finally, their virtual outreach programs have brought archived productions of our shows and custom-made corresponding curricula to 16,825 students in Northern Virginia. Wow. So please, if you are able to make a donation of any size, please visit the link in the description, bit.ly/Synetic2020, or you can use the QR code in the corner. I keep forgetting what side it's on. And if you can't, like and share the stream, because that also helps. And that being said, we're going to move on to our next comic. Please put your lulls in the chat and your clicks together for our next comic. He is a stand-up comedian and writer based out of Norfolk, Virginia. He started comedy in Richmond and moved to the Hampton Roads area to be a full-time stepdad and focus more on his energy on building himself in the local comedy scene. He has done tons of shows and even ran his own mics all over the place and has no desire to slow down. Please give it up for here he is, Nick Deez. Woo 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 woo!
Oh, hey everybody!
Hey!
Oh my goodness! Oh man, I stole Winston's thing tonight. That's right, everybody. I'm telling jokes in my car because I showed up to do an open mic in the real world, and my buddy was like, "Hey, can you run it?" So I was like, "Sure, why not?" But yeah, here I am, hiding out in a vehicle. So if you guys see me jump or get startled, it's because I'm parked next to other vehicles. So people might go, because I'm just a weirdo sitting in their car at 8:45 on a Tuesday in a public parking lot. So there's that. Also, I love that everybody looks so nice. And yet again, this is the second fundraiser I've done in a week's time, where I was like, yeah, I'm going to dress up. I'm going to wear my Mighty Ducks jersey and a hoodie so that everybody knows that I came to party. Okay, we're raising money. I'm raising awareness. Mighty Ducks is one of the best Disney treasures ever come out of the 90s. You guys know this. I don't know if you know this, but Gordon Bombay is a public hero, okay? He took a bunch of ragtag children and made them men and women, okay? I don't know if you know this. He not only saved their lives, but they saved his, okay? He started an alcoholic and he ended a role model. Do you understand? That is every stepdad's dream, okay? He started out as an alcoholic and he ended as a role model. I watched that movie like it is me sitting down watching Superman. I'm like, oh yeah, the MCU, they should totally add Gordon Bombay. He is the world's real Superman. It's all, you know what? And it's all Disney now, so it is technically canon. I don't know if you guys know how that works, but it is totally, it's all connected. All right, yeah, I bought this hoodie, this jersey from Goodwill, which says a lot about my character, because the Goodwill was just almost above my budget. This was $40. This was $40 at a Goodwill, and I had to think twice on whether or not I needed it. It is, one, it is the best piece of clothing that I own, and two, I've had it for 10 years, which is more than I've had most friendships. So this is now just not only a statement piece, but it is fully 100%. It is my comfort blanket, so I wear it all the time. All right, enough about where I'm at geographically and emotionally. So this has been a weird year, but this is the year. So 2020 is the year that I decided I was going to get my life back on track. I actually just checked. As of today, I have officially lost 60 pounds so far this year, which, yeah, thank you guys so much. Actually, that's a lie. I made that up. I just wanted to see how it felt to say it out loud. And if we're being honest, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good if you ask me. No, I turned 31 this year, which is not like accomplishment. But I'm at the point where I feel like my skin is just dyslexic, because 31 is the year that I realized that I could have gray hair and acne. So I didn't know that was a thing. I will say, actually, I did lose 60 pounds. I took my stepson to the mall the other day, and I just left him there. Yeah, that is true. I am a stepdad, which is not anything to brag about, but this jersey is. So no. So my stepson came home from his real dad's house the other day, and he was just like, "Hey, Dad." "Oh, sorry, Nicholas." And I was like, "Hey, buddy, that's okay. If you want to call me Dad, you can call me Dad." And without missing a beat, he was like, "No, that's okay." So later that night, I was eating some ice cream, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, what you eating?" And I was like, "Oh, just having some ice cream." And he was like, "Hey, can I have some ice cream?" And I was like, "Sorry, I'm saving this for my real son." I will say a little bit about me. I do, like I said, I am a stepfather, but I'm also a stepson. I do have a black stepdad, and I also have a black stepson. So I just like to tell people that it skipped a generation. Actually, that's a lie. He's half Hispanic, so all year round he's just tanner than I am. Okay, but it's at the point now where he just likes to grab things from around the house that are darker than me, just to prove that they're darker than me. The other day, he held up a piece of paper and he was like, "Hey, look, it's you." And then he pointed at the lines and he goes, "And those are your veins." And I was like, "You're 6 years old. I didn't know what veins were until last week. Okay, I don't understand how you knew that." So then I grabbed a blank piece of paper and I pointed at it and I was like, "Hey, look, there's your real dad." And he was like, "There's nothing there." And I was like, "Now you get it." I realized that I have officially failed as a parent, as if any of this last few minutes is not an indicator. My stepson came up to me the other day and he was just like, "Hey, Coke is better than Pepsi." So now I just have to get rid of him. He was just like, "Hey, I'm just saying Coke," or he was like, "I'm just saying Pepsi is better than Coke." And I was like, "Well, I'm just saying your real dad is never coming back." See, here's the thing. Like, people might say, like, that's really mean to say to a child, right? And I disagree, because when I was a kid, people used to say stuff to me all the time, like, "You're fat, you're a loser, I wish you weren't my son." And I would always go, "Yeah, well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but you guys didn't put me up for adoption." And like, here's the thing, like, I hate that saying, right? Because no one has ever been sentenced to death by insult. No one's ever getting ready to die and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." And they're like, "Oh yeah, loser, fatso, weirdo." You're like, "Oh God, you got me." I went to McDonald's the other day because I was fresh out of self-respect. And in the middle of the drive-thru, I saw a sign on the box that said Braille and picture menus available. I don't know about you guys. I'm not the smartest dude here because I just admitted to being in the McDonald's drive-thru on purpose. But if you're in the drive-thru and you need a Braille menu, what are you doing in the drive-thru? No off chance that you're not the driver. How much of an asshole do you have to be that you can't read the menu to your blind friend? Okay, Jimmy's got it bad enough. Everything he sees, he has to use his imagination, and you can't read Big Mac inside of fries. Now you guys know what I get at McDonald's. Actually, you guys know what I get at McDonald's. You know what I get at McDonald's? I get recognized. That's what I get at McDonald's. I didn't know that was on the menu. Didn't know you could get that. But I get it every time. I walked into McDonald's the other day and the girl behind the counter just looked at me and she was like, "Hey, you're back." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the funny thing about food is you need it more than once." Why anybody would want this food more than once is beyond me, but here I am. So let's serve it up, baby. Okay. Like, I walked in and she looked at me and she was just like, "The usual?" And I was like, "I need to start going to another McDonald's. Like, this is bad." Here's the thing. Like, I get the same thing at McDonald's. Every time I go to McDonald's, I get the same thing. But like, my friends have made fun of me so bad for what I get at McDonald's that now I refuse to order it by name. I just order it by number. But I just feel like it gives it away every time that I'm like, yeah, mayonnaise instead of tartar sauce. That's right, everybody. I am a fishy boy. Okay, that is 100% what I am. Okay. You guys know that. I went through the drive-thru the other day, and when I pulled up to the drive-thru, there was 3 girls behind the counter just wearing normal clothes, and I was like, "This is the weirdest robbery I've ever seen, or this is just the chillest McDonald's I've ever been to in my entire life." And I was just like, "Hey, are you supposed to be back here?" And she was like, I don't know. Are you supposed to be back here? You've been eating every fillet of fish that we've had all week. I don't know. You know this. You're the only person that's gotten them, and we've seen you get them every day. Okay. And I had to be like, yeah, not just every day, multiple times a day. Okay. That's, I don't know if you guys know that. And I was like, oh, so that's very mean, Mom. I'll see you at home. Okay. Hey, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you having me do this. Thank you guys again, Synetic Theater. Let's raise a bunch of money and help out for a good cause. Happy holidays, everybody.
Woo, woo, woo. Keep it going for Mr. Nick Deez. I do just want to mention super quickly before we move on to our next comic. Thank you so much. Let me make sure I get this right. Kenneth Waters Jr. for using the chat feature, and also to my fiance for making a donation, but I'm sure we are well on our way to going viral. Next up, I'm really excited for this comedian. His witty and clean brand of stand-up comedy has made him a favorite around Chicago and across the U.S., regularly appearing at Zany's Comedy Club. His album Friends with 401k Benefits premiered #1 on iTunes and the top 10 on the Billboard comedy charts. Please give it up for Mr. Tyler Fowler. Meow, 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 meow.
Thank you so much. Wow, Tom, I appreciate it so much. Well, I'm so glad that you let us know that your fiance is the one that donated. I feel like this is all an elaborate ploy. We could have just all come over to your house, I think. Like, all right, what's next? What else can we do to get Tom's fiance to donate more? I'll juggle. What is he like? What did he tell us? He's trying to get his money. No, thank you, everyone who hasn't donated yet. Catch up, and you know what? If you donate, one of us will get engaged to you. So that's the promise. Not necessarily me, but one of us. So that's the promise. I'm also so glad that I heard Tom say that it's Synetic Theater, because I was reading it so fast every time. I just thought it was Synthetic Theater. I was like, that's weird. I don't know. So they're doing science now. Is that like the CBD of theater? Good. That sounds fun. We should raise money for that. Like Winston and Nick, I'm also calling from a car, just a very big, well-lit car. I think that's the theme of the show. We're all in car. I'm in the back of a U-Haul. I don't know where. Somewhere in Mexico. Help me. No, this is fun. I love doing comedy over Zoom because this is the only time that anyone who looks like me can say they make a living entertaining people on their webcam. That's different. Yeah, that is an OnlyFans joke. Thank you to the guys who laughed. Thanks for changing tabs to be with us tonight. We're glad to be here. I like doing comedy on Zoom, but I feel bad for anyone who has to be on Zoom all day for your job, because the only thing worse than seeing your coworkers in person is seeing them on Zoom. Zoom is like, hey, remember those people you used to hate at the office? What if they were in your living room? Would that make it better? Absolutely not. Like, I've never been on the phone with accounting. Like, if only I could see your face. I think that would really help. The only thing I like about Zoom, there's always one person in every Zoom call who has like a dark camera and a grainy background, so it looks like they're in on an ISIS hostage video. You guys have seen this, right? Like every single Zoom call starts with like, hey, thumbs up if you can hear me, and Jeff, blink twice if you need help, because where did they take you? We were gonna get you real fast. It has been a weird year. I feel like nothing this year counts. You could kill somebody and get away with it. You just have to go to court and be like, Your Honor, it was 2020. Judge is like, right, the year we paid you to stay home watching murder documentaries, you're free to go. Get on out of here. Good luck. I feel bad for anyone that bought a new car this year, because the 2020 model of any car is never going to be popular. 10 years from now, they'll be trying to trade it in. The dealership is like, ooh, 2020 Fiesta? No, Fiesta was good that year. Some unsuspecting Jeep owner is like, yeah, I'd like to trade in my 2020 Cherokee. They're like, whoa, first of all, we're not using the word Cherokee anymore. Take a look at your 2020 Indigenous, but everyone knows that those cars are cursed. So no, we won't take it. But I also feel like 10 years from now, you're going to be at a wine tasting and someone's going to go like, I'm getting hints of tears, sadness, sourdough. Is this a 2020 wine? Okay, yeah. It's got that Purell aftertaste. A terrible vintage 2020 was. Very bad. Yeah. But the people I feel the most for, I think, are people who were born this year. Because for the rest of their life, when they get asked to confirm their date of birth at the doctor's office, every nurse is going to shudder in a cold sweat. Like, please don't send us back. We can't do it again. We can't. Like some kid who was born today in 21 years is going to get turned away from a bar, not because their ID looks fake. The bouncer's just like, we think you're bad luck. You can't come in here. 2020 birthday, go somewhere else. But one of the things I've been trying to do when we're all stuck at home is I've been talking to my mom on the phone every day. And really, it's FaceTime, but she holds it up to her ear, so it is the same as a phone call. And her favorite thing to talk about on the phone is nothing. She's so good at it. She could talk about nothing all day. She'll call me in the middle of the day and say something like, hey, I found that salad bowl we used when you were a kid, and it's maroon, not orange. And that's the reason she called. That was the point of the phone call. But I'm glad she does. You got to get that stuff off your chest. Because the last thing I need is her on her deathbed going, Tyler, I never told you. Our old neighbor got a Prius and he loves it. Like, don't bottle anything up. Let it all go as it comes. My mom's too nice. You know that phrase, killing them with kindness? She's killed 4 people that way. It's getting to be a lot. She's so good at small talk, she could win a fight. You could break in her house, have her tied to a chair, pull a gag out of her mouth. She'd go, there's hummus in the fridge if you're getting hungry. You make yourself at home right now. You're like, give us the code to the safe. She's like, the trim in this room looks white. It's actually light blue. You'd be surprised to learn that. Try running for the getaway car. She's like, take a jacket and leftovers. I love you. It's too much. She lives alone, so she's always worried of someone breaking into her house. I think mostly she's afraid they wouldn't take their shoes off at the door. Probably a valid concern. But what she forgets is when you live alone, there's no such thing as breaking in. That's just company. Like, especially now, we're all stuck at home alone. I live alone. If someone broke in right now and yelled, put your hands up, I'd go, put your hands up and get over here for a hug. Are you kidding? It is good to see you. I do live alone. I'm single and I live alone, and I knew I was lonely because I used to hate the idea of skydiving. I'm terrified of heights until I found out for your first jump, they strap you to an instructor. And as it turns out, my fear of being alone outweighs my fear of heights. Because instead of being scared, I was like, whoa, did you say that somebody is going to hold me? Let's jump out of this plane. What are we waiting for? The point of that joke is I was willing to risk my life just to be the little spoon. And of course, someone pointed out that, hey, just because you're tandem skydiving doesn't mean you couldn't die. True. Does mean I couldn't die alone. I just don't want to die alone because I don't want to be greeted by my dead family members in heaven and have to explain why even in the afterlife I can't bring home a nice girl. That's okay. You guys are nice. Laugh with me or laugh at me. It feels the same. It's your house, so make yourself at home. No, you're nice to laugh at me at all. I understand that my comedy is what NPR would sound like if you didn't donate. I am aware. And Synetic Theater. Donate. Oh, there's a plug. I'll leave you guys with this. One of the things I've been trying to do also is I'm trying to get in better shape. This has come as a shock. I'm not a very athletic guy. I know you're thinking, what? But your body. How do you do that? But, I have a friend who's a personal trainer who's trying to give me exercise you could do outside in the park, like if your gym is closed. Problem is, when you're in shape, anything you do looks like exercise. Not the same for me. He told me to go to a park and do jumping jacks. If you're in shape, you look tough, right? Me, I look like I'm fighting a bee. That's not a good look. The other thing he told me to do is squat jumps. Go squat as low as you can, jump up as high as you can, right? You see me doing that in a park, you're like, someone has got to help this little boy get his kite out of a tree. What are we doing? But the worst was shadow boxing. He told me to go to a park and punch air. If you're in shape, you look tough. You look like a fighter. I look schizophrenic. Not a good look at all. You see somebody in shape doing all that stuff outside, you're like, oh, he must live near this park. You see me doing that, you're like, oh, he must live in this park. This guy. You guys have been very, very nice. Please donate a whole bunch of money, and one of us will get engaged to you. Thank you, Tom, for having me.
Woo, 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 woo. Oh, man. Keep it rolling for Mr. Tyler Fowler. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And you can follow him on Instagram at _Tyler Fowler. Now, next up, I am going to do another little message again for everyone just now tuning in. This is a reminder that today's showcase is to support Synetic Theater's 2020 end-of-year campaign. When you donate to Synetic, you're investing in an organization that has also taken this time to strengthen the commitment to the community of Northern Virginia. Their partnership with the Arlington Food Assistance Center raised $3,500 for food insecure Arlingtonians, and Jason Najum, their managing director, is now a proud member of the National Landing Business Improvement District Board of Directors. They've recommitted themselves to pursuing equity, diversity, inclusion, and access on their stages, in their audiences, and in the studio, and have held more than 50 large and small group discussions featuring a diverse group of stakeholders to help them craft new practices and policies that ensure Synetic is a welcoming space for everyone. So please, if you're able to make a donation of any size, please visit the link in the description or use the QR code. And if you can't, please like and share the stream. That also helps. And I also need to acknowledge, thank you, Ed, for making a donation earlier. I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge you since you said something in the chat. But now for more comedy. So our next comedian is a 20-year-old studying film and television at Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Even though he's from the suburbs of Philly, he still likes to tell out-of-towners that he's from the city. Chris has been seen in the 2020 New York Underground Comedy Festival and hosts a weekly Zoom open mic, Funny People Telling Jokes, every Sunday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Finally, and most importantly, he can dunk a regulation-sized basketball. Please give it up for the comedian Chris Aileo!
Hey,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
thanks. I did not know when Tom asked for a bio that it would be read out loud. The weirdest bio ever, my goodness. I feel like this audience right now is like God. Like, I can't see them, but I know they're judging me. This is weird. It's scary to not see the audience. I feel like there's a bunch of sleeper agents now out in the world who know I'm not funny. I'm going to show up to a party like after the pandemic. Someone's going to be like, hey, that's that guy that sucked at the fundraiser. No, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much, Tom. Yeah, like Tom said, I'm 20 years old. I'm 20 years old and adults are just still calling me buddy. I thought I would have stopped by now, I'm going to be honest. At this point, I think adults are calling me buddy just to make me feel bad about myself. Like, they'll see me walking down the street and they're like, you know what? He looks a little too happy. Let's call him buddy. Why not? The last time someone called me buddy, I went like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months without hearing it. And I started to think like, okay, I think adults kind of see me as their peer now. And then I was at a restaurant on a date, and the waiter was a very handsome middle-aged man, and he looked down at me and said, what would you like to eat for dinner tonight, buddy? Chicken tenders? And I said, first of all, do not call me buddy. Not cool. Second of all, I don't want chicken tenders. I want chicken nuggets. Big difference. Nothing's more embarrassing when someone my own age calls me buddy. That's just brutal. There's no recovering. When someone my own age calls me buddy in public, I feel like I'm getting pantsed. That's what it feels. The pandemic, I was at a social gathering at school and I was talking to 2 girls my age, which is rare. And this guy my age, who was better looking than me, walked over and went, what's going on, buddy? And I almost started crying. That's what happened. The girls looked at me and gave me a look that were like, are you going to do something about that? And I gave them a look that was like, yeah, I'm going to think about it when I try to go to sleep tonight. That's what's going to happen. That's just like an insulting thing for that guy to say to me. I've noticed in my life, people are very comfortable coming up to me and just being insulting. Like one time I was walking down the street in the city. I live in Philadelphia, like Tom said. And this guy stopped me and he said, hey, you kind of look like John Mayer. I was like, oh, thank you. That's really kind. And he said, if John Mayer never learned how to play guitar. And I was like, what is that? I don't know what that means. And that's so insulting. I am very hurt by the process with which he decided to say that to me. Like, he saw me walking down the street, thought of that insult, and was like, he needs to hear this. Oh my God. Anytime I want to get like hurt by something like that, I just understand there are people in the world who like have it way worse than me. People are truly struggling these days in the country and in the world. And as a result, I always get really frustrated when I see Americans like making other people's tragedy their own and making it all about them. Like I saw in the news, there's this dad who has this son who's been battling cancer in this hospital. And the dad ran a marathon around the hospital for the son. which is really just another way of saying, hey, everybody, look what someone who doesn't have cancer can do. Everyone's like, dude, your son is very, very sick. And he's like, yeah, and I can run very, very far. So, Chris, tell the cancer jokes at the fundraiser. Good call. I'm the last person who should tell a joke like that. Yeah, it's true. I mean, people are really struggling in the world. It's bad. People can't do things they used to be able to do. Like, something I miss being able to do is go to parties. And I'm not much of like a party animal. I miss like the mischief one can get themselves into at a party. Like, anytime I was drunk at a party before the pandemic, I would have this bad impulse to steal things from the house I was in and then just hide them somewhere else in the same exact house. One time I was at this great party, lots of people, great music, and I hit that point in the night where I started to get that inkling again. And I walked into the kitchen and I opened up their fridge and I just hid all of their eggs. It was like I organized an Easter egg hunt that only I knew about. In my Easter egg hunt, instead of the eggs being filled with like candy or money, the eggs were just filled with egg, is what they were filled up. And I hid them in very weird places, because if you randomly see an egg on your couch, you're like, okay, this is weird. But like, maybe I can understand how this got here. But if you see an egg in the toilet, you're like, do I live with a goose? What's bad? Because the guy who threw the party sent out a mass text the next morning, and he was like, to whoever put an egg in my shoe, go to hell. You can just do things like that. Like, this is my message to you. Nothing is stopping you from going to people's parties and doing things that will make the people who live there question their sanity. Like, my favorite thing to do was I would frame photos of random families on Google Images, and I would just put them in people's houses in the hopes that the next morning when they wake up, they'd see the photo and they'd have this moment where they're like, has this always been here? Did I get so drunk last night that I let a family move in? What is happening right now? And it's funny because if that person is anything like me, they'll just leave it there. Like, I would just assume it was always there. I could wake up one morning and there could just be a framed photo of like a Vietnamese family on my wall. And I'd be like, you know what? I guess I just never saw it before. I can't go to parties anymore. It sucks. I can't even like meet girls my age or date. It's so upsetting. I haven't dated anyone in a while. I actually got broken up with about a year ago. Breakups are complicated because if they go poorly, they can completely taint the relationship that you had and ruin it. I remember on my breakup, my girlfriend was crying the entire time. And that's because she was capable of expressing her emotions. And I was not crying at all. And that's because I went to Catholic school. Going to Catholic school is just a really expensive way to become emotionally unavailable. That's all it is. The fact that I wasn't crying made her very angry. I remember her saying to me, I don't understand, Chris. Why aren't you crying? Why aren't you crying, Chris? I was like, are you breaking up with me just to hear me cry? What's It was like I ruined the best part of the breakup for her. She's like, half the reason I'm doing it is to hear you sob. Come on, we might as well keep dating. I handled that breakup very poorly because I was 18 years old at the time, and no teenager has the tools to handle a breakup maturely. They just don't. I said the worst thing I think anybody could say during a breakup, because she said, Chris, I don't think we should see each other anymore. And I said, yeah, that's probably a good call. Like a jerk. So casually, like we were talking about lunch, as if she was like, hey, you want to get some pizza? And I'm like, yeah, it's probably a good call. Breakups are tough. Dating is so hard. This Valentine's Day is going to be so brutal. Oh my God. Last Valentine's Day was really bizarre for me. I had no one to be with last Valentine's Day. And like I said, I'm a college student, so there were parties, but I had none to go to. So I decided to just be productive on Valentine's Day night and study and do homework in the library. So it was about 10:30 p.m. I was studying in the library, very focused. And then out of nowhere, a student walked up to me with a crumpled brown paper bag. And he leaned in close and said, excuse me, I don't mean to bother you. And I was like, I don't really believe that. I'm bothered right now. He held out the bag and said, I have something for you, which I don't like strangers saying to me ever. he reached into the bag and took out 3 loose mismatching condoms, a variety pack. Here's the thing with that. If you want to hand strangers condoms in public, fine, go for it. At least make them all the same brand, okay? Make me believe you acquire them at the same time. That's all I want to know. He said to me, are you aware that today is Valentine's Day? I was like, I'm painfully aware that today's Valentine's Day. What are you talking about? But I want you to have these condoms because you might have sex tonight. Really? I said, look around. I'm alone in a library at 10:30 p.m. on Valentine's Day. Unless you want to sleep with me. I don't think it's happening, dude. And he insisted and he insisted. He really wanted me to have him. So I just took him to get him off my back. And that was February of 2020. The pandemic hit in March of 2020. It is now December of 2020. I've still not needed to use those condoms. So. All right, those are my jokes. Thank you so much for having me, Tom. Everybody donate all of your money to Synetic Theater, okay? They need it. It's great. Great cause. Thank you so much. Woo-hoo.
Awesome. Keep it going for Mr. Chris Aileo, and you can find him on Instagram at Chris_Aileo. I don't know why I had to make real clear that I got that right. It's your name. Next up, I'm really excited. This next comic has been doing stand-up for 3 years and improv for a decade. With me, actually. And he's performed in Annapolis, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Northern Virginia, Lewiston, and Philadelphia. He also co-hosts the TB&J Open Mic with me Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, which will start live streaming this New Year's Eve. And he also loves the welcoming community of newcomers and veterans we've created. So one other thing is, when not doing comedy, he cooks too much and gets fat, slowly watching the best years of his life pass him by in lockdown. Brooks wrote this, so I don't know what to say. Please give it up for your next comedian, Brooks Schandelmeier. Woo!
Tom, you sounded so depressed reading my bio. Like, who would have thought that someone going, you're getting fat and watching the best years of your life slip by would not be a mood lifter? Come on. All right, you guys, it is the holidays, and I am here with a glass of eggnog that is at least 90% bourbon, and I am ready to raise some money for Synetic.
Woo!
I'm kidding. This is 100% bourbon. I'm a dangerous alcoholic who would never water it down like that. It kills the coronavirus. That's why I'm not sick yet. So I got really excited to perform this for Tom because of a couple reasons. So one, Tom, you're a really good friend of mine, and I'm really excited to help you out. Two, raising money for Synetic is going to be, it's a really great cause. So guys watching this, please go to the link, kick in $10 if you can. Everything's going to go to the arts. It's absolutely fantastic. And three, this was something to do. Because I don't have a lot going on for me right now. I'm very boring, and it makes me hard to have conversations with. Like, all I do is just hang out and play video games right now. Like, my fiance, who is actually working and doing things, asks me how my day was, and I'm just like, well, I got bullied by a bunch of 12-year-olds playing Call of Duty, so I got that going for me. And I still play a bunch of Call of Duty, even though I'm really bad at it. And I get mad at how bad at this game I am. I'm just sitting there playing, and my fiance Chelsea's just listening in. I'm like, damn it! She's like, oh, are you okay? Yes, I'm having a good time. This is very relaxing for me. I live in Maryland, but I grew up in northern Maine. Tom, it's pronounced Lewiston. So I grew up in northern Maine, and not a lot of people are familiar with northern Maine down here. So I get asked a lot of silly questions that what it was like growing up there. And here are a couple of my favorite. These are all real questions I have been asked. Do I know Stephen King? Yes. There are 20 people in the entire state. We all know Stephen King. Did you have power growing up? Yes. We got it when I was 10. We were very excited about it. And 3, are there roads? No, we just have to ride a moose everywhere. Come on. But actually, one of those is true. I have met Stephen King once. I was 10, and I was in a movie theater with my dad, and my dad recognized him. He was a huge fan of Stephen King and introduced us and chatted for a little bit. But when we said goodbye, Stephen King said to me, "I'll see you around, kid." This is the last thing any 10-year-old boy wants to hear from Stephen King. Like, my best case scenario is I'm going to end up in a heartwarming coming of age story where I discover a dead body with my friends. Worst case scenario, I'm going to end up in a sewer getting eaten by a spider clown monster. I got fat in lockdown, and it's because they closed gyms in my area. And despite all evidence to the contrary, I've realized I'm an adult and I can cook Thanksgiving foods whenever I want. And I love Thanksgiving, but I go overboard with this. So like this year I bought a heritage turkey for $150 because I wanted to enjoy the holiday, and also I'm really bad with money. But because this is like an expensive turkey, I wanted to cook it right. So I keep watching these cooking videos on YouTube right before bed. And one night my fiance comes in and catches me watching one of these videos with my screen hidden just a little bit. And I'm whispering to it, "Oh, what are you going to do with that compound butter? Oh, that's hot. Nah, you got to whisk those drippings into the gravy. You don't want to whisk drippings." And I feel like she would have preferred walking in on me watching literally anything else. If your fiance gets mad about you watching like adult materials, you can just go, "Well, it could be worse. I could be watching cooking videos in an inappropriate manner." I also got fat in lockdown because I'm a stress eater and everything is really stressful right now. Like my coffee intake is not helping this. I drink a lot of coffee, and coffee is weird to me because it's the only thing that gives me anxiety, but also the thought of not having it gives me anxiety. So when I stress eat, though, I don't mean like eating an extra cookie or like getting that little candy bar impulse buy at the checkout counter. I mean eating an entire rotisserie chicken out of the trunk of my car in the grocery store parking lot level of stressed eating. I'm like a feral creature just shoving meat and bones in his mouth, just like. That hiss was me. That hiss was me trying to get you away from my chicken. Come on, try and keep up, guys. But like, people seeing me in there are going to think they're witnessing the weirdest urban legend possible. Like, it's so lame. Like, you have Bigfoot, you have the Mothman, you have the Chupacabra, and then on my side of the spectrum, you have the Safeway parking lot goblin. So I bought a Peloton bike to try and lose weight, and the first thing I noticed is how gorgeous all these trainers who use it are. And like, they have toned legs, ripped abs, perky butts, and then you have me. I look like the before picture of every miracle surgery ad. I sound like a walrus with asthma on this thing, so like, I am not a healthy person. And I'm wishing my shortness of breath is COVID related, because if I've gotten this out of shape, damn. I mean, it's probably related to the chicken in the parking lot, if we're going to be honest with you. So I am engaged. My fiance, Chelsea, and she's absolutely fantastic. And I was so nervous when we started dating because I really liked her. And I was trying to figure out how to tell her I'm crazy. So I decided I'm going to do this on the third date. Because if it's socially acceptable to hook up with someone, then I think you need to give them the warning that I'm a tangled knot of alcoholism, self-loathing, and also narcissism. Yeah, balance that out. So the date's going well, and I decided to let out just like a little bit of crazy, like go to a 3 on the crazy scale, and it goes well. So I decided to do a little more, go from a 3 to a 4, and she laughs. This is awesome. So I'm going to decide, all right, we're going to end the night going from a 4 to the 5, and that's a good stopping point. But the problem is there is no 5 on the crazy scale. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you miss that stop of 4, too bad, because you were going right to 15. And I'm sitting there going, crazy, crazy, crazy. And then I stop because I look nuts and I'm afraid I've ruined the date. I've ruined my chances with this woman. And I'll never forget what she said. She said, well, have you considered crazy? And that was the moment that I knew from the bottom of my heart that I was getting laid that evening. So yeah, and now it's 2 years later on the 2-year anniversary of the first time of us fucking, I asked her to move in with me. And she said yes. And so there were some adjustments when we moved in together. Like you got all those single guy stuff you can't really do anymore. You got your decorations, you got to get rid of like all the sports posters. I had to get rid of all my communist propaganda pamphlets. And then there are those single guy behaviors you can't do anymore. Like I can't go to the bathroom with the door open like a savage anymore. And I can't go around saying how we have to bring about the end of the capitalist system because all we have to lose is our chains. So rise up and break the chains. We have nothing to lose but our masters. No gods, no masters. You know, single guy stuff. So we're living together for a while, and I decide she is the one, and I am going to ask her to marry me. And I walk into the jeweler with like what can only be described as dumb boy face. And I go up and they ask, well, what are you here for? I'm here for an engagement ring. This is her size. It's a 3.5, which is a very tiny hand. Chelsea's a very tiny hand woman. And they say, no, that is a child size. Okay, but it's a 3.5. So after all this arguing, I convince them, but there's something I need to point out here. For a guy who was really convinced that that was a child-sized ring, they were also really excited to sell me that child-sized ring. Like, so he's culpable for some of this too. It was a mistake though to get ice cream right after I bought the ring though. Like, not a good look arguing with a child-sized ring. So I go in to propose, and I'm so nervous. And I get down on one knee, I pull open the box and I show it to her and go, will you marry me? And she's totally surprised. Chelsea's totally surprised. But she says the worst thing that you should never, ever say when you are surprised by a proposal. No way! Oh, I guess I'm going to go fill my pockets with rocks and walk into the bay now. All right, you guys, thank you so much, Tom. Thanks for letting me be part of this. Guys, donate all the money you can to Synetic. Just donate $5, $10, $20, whatever you can. Will make a huge difference. Thank you.
Yay, thank you. And he's right, it will make a huge difference, and it's the perfect segue into my next little spiel. But first, again, if you want to follow him, you can find him on Instagram at BrooksLikesFood. But yes, another reminder that all the donations we received today are going to the Synetic 2020 end of year campaign. This fall marks the 20th anniversary season. This season is a monument to where they're going and where they've been. It pushes the boundaries of what they can do as theater artists and welcomes new mediums for performance, from interactive Zoom shows to Synetic motion pictures to a triumphant return to their Crystal City home. They are thrilled to show you both new and familiar sides to Synetic. In the last fiscal year, individual donations made up 72% of their contributed revenue, so they rely on the generosity of people like you for each and every one of the initiatives that I've been describing tonight. So please, if you're able to, make a donation of any size. Please visit the link in the description or use the QR code. And if you can't, please like and share the stream. That also helps. The more eyes we get on this, the more hope we have. But moving on, I'm really excited for our next comedian. So back to comedy. We have a Toronto-based comedian with cerebral palsy and literally my favorite Canadian. She has been doing stand-up for about 4 years. A former competitive swimmer, she traded in early morning swim workouts for the late nights of stand-up comedy. She has been featured on breakfast television, the Real Abilities Film Festival Comedy Night, and the now defunct show Nighttime TV on Rogers Cable Mississauga. I hope I pronounced that right. But give it up for comedian Desiree Walsh.
Hello. Once again, another bio that I did not realize was going to be read on the internet. But it is true, I am Canadian. There's no joke there. At this point, it's more of a humble brag. But I'm rooting for you, America. I really am. Yep. I was pretty excited when Biden won, mostly because several American comedians that I had met over Zoom had asked if they could come live with me if he did not. I have trouble saying no to people. It is a real problem. I had to stop shopping at the body shop because of their aggressive sales tactics. So I was a little bit worried if he did not win, how I was going to fit 1 million American comedians in my tiny one-bedroom apartment in Toronto. I mean, I was hopeful because Toronto's had several incidences of residential cat hoarding, and it took like the city 5 weeks to figure that out. So I figured we'd have 3 weeks with actual humans. But I'm very excited he won. On the Tuesday of the election, I got 3 marriage proposals, which is more marriage proposals than I've ever had in my entire life. So it was a good day for me and a good day for America. Yep. That's right. Oh, I am in a wheelchair. You just can't see it because of Zoom. I just didn't want you thinking I was doing like very specific, edgy subjects as like a able-bodied white woman. I have noticed society treats the disabled different, and I have a hot take. No, it is my actual real life, and I'm actually really enjoying the pandemic. I know that's a bit strange, but it's nice because now none of you walkies touch me when I'm out. Because in the before times, before the air was poisoned, apparently I look like a shopping cart that needs to be returned to Kmart. People. I also like it because I don't have to hear anybody's stories about their friends in wheelchairs. Because again, in the before times, it was just like, I'm really sorry to hear about you from Mark, but I do not have any wheelchair basketball information. Please leave me alone. Also, it is midnight in a grocery store, and I am buying 3 types of cheese in Garfield PJs. I am obviously high on legal weed and nothing else because it is Canada and it's legal here. Leave me alone. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go on a date before the pandemic. It wasn't so much of a date, actually, as it was a man sat down beside me in a Starbucks and asked if I had any wheelchair basketball information for his friend Mark. But I needed a win, so we're going to call that a date. And myself and this man got to talking about disability and the media. And I told this man that I wish the media understood that people with disabilities did more than go to the bank and die. And now I'm going to tell you what I do during the day. I work in a bank. I am a living stereotype. I am part of the problem. For those of you who might not be aware, in Canada, banks have very good equity programs, so they hire a lot of disabled people, and we are heavily featured in their media campaigns. The best jokes are the ones you have to explain. If you're not given a 9-minute TED Talk after every punchline, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Don't ask the other comics. I'm right. I'm really enjoying meeting all you Americans because I'm learning so much about your country. For example, did you guys all know that New Jersey is a state? Because I sure didn't. No. For most of my life, I thought it was a suburb of New York. Yep. Turns out I was getting it mixed up with Staten Island. I don't know very much about Staten Island, so I decided to Google it, and a tourism website came up with 13 interesting facts about Staten Island. The best one, the most flattering, was that they have the largest garbage dump in the U.S. Isn't the garbage something we're supposed to be hiding from the tourists? Like, I'm from the city of Toronto, and on our tourism website, we talk about things like the lake and the Sky Dome and the CN Tower. And I'm not going to tell you what any of those things are because you'll have to come see us. I'm not going to do all the work for you. But we leave out the negative parts. Like, we don't talk about the homeless person issue, or the fact that there's no affordable housing, or that it's not very wheelchair accessible, or that we're kind of mean for a Canadian city. Like, really, other Canadian cities don't like us, but you should come see us. Yeah. I'm also learning a lot about American food. Some American comedians have been nice enough to teach me about something called the Uncrustable. We don't have these in Canada, so they're like the frozen peanut butter sandwiches. I'm told it's very similar to the white trash cousin of the Pop-Tart, or the red-headed stepchild of the Pizza Pocket. And Americans, like, wouldn't it be easier just to make a peanut butter sandwich? Because with an Uncrustable, you have to thaw it and cook it and then eat it. And it seems like a lot of work. I did this joke, and another comedian was like, no, you just eat them frozen. And now I have more questions than I have answers, America. Because why are we paying money for the worst day of grade school when the ice pack fell on top of the sandwich? Why are we paying money for that? And then another comedian, if you take anything away from my set, please take away that American comedians are very helpful. Was like, no, like, you don't eat them frozen. You just take them out of the freezer and let them thaw naturally. And now I have the question, is it a friend or is it food? Because, like, what do you mean? You just take it out of the freezer, like, cuddle it till it's desired temperature you need, hold it close, sing it Tiny Dancer. What I'm saying is I think Smucker's needs to be stopped. Between that and the Goober grape, there's a lot of talk right now about what's wrong with America or what happened. And frankly, as a person who only recently discovered New Jersey as a state, I do not believe I'm entitled to an opinion at all. But I think it started with the invention of the Uncrustable. Yes. Yeah. The other thing I've learned from doing stand-up comedy with Americans is the lexicon handicapped is still widely used in your country, which was a bit of a shock for me because in Canada that's a slur. Yeah, so that was fun. You really shouldn't use the word handicapped, not because it's ignorant, but because someone might hear you and think you are from the 1980s and then get all excited because you obviously have a time machine to escape 2020. So they will be disappointed when they discover you are just an ignorant dad with a trucker hat, which matters in this uncertain time. You can still use the word crippled. The problem with the word crippled is that only certain people can say it, and you often don't know if you're one of those people till well after it is out of your mouth, and then it's awkward. On a personal note, I don't really like the term special needs because it makes it sound like the disabled are asking for a bowl of green M&Ms, just a bowl of green M&Ms. I am not asking for a bowl of green M&Ms. I just want to be in the same spaces as the walkies without actually being a walkie. I want the same resources as the walkies without actually being a walkie because walking looks terrible. I don't know how you guys do it. But I would take a bowl of green M&Ms if you did have it. That would be great. Thank you. That is my time. Please donate generously.
Woo!
It would really help them out. And Tom is super, and he is great.
Yeah! Oh, God. I also love any set that ends with complimenting me. Thank you. Keep it rolling for Desiree Walsh, my favorite Canadian. Wow, I can't say it, though. Apparently, Canadian. And you can find her on Instagram at desiree.lisa.walsh_.
Yep.
Next up, we have a Chicago comedian, formerly based in Shanghai, China. She recently won the Flappers Comedy Club Soup or Bowl and was a featured performer at the 2020 New York Underground Comedy Festival. She has featured for veteran comedians Simeon Goodson, Mateen Stewart, and Justin Rivera, and accomplished her first 30-minute headliner April 2020. Along with founding Hey Now Comedy, or Hi Now Comedy, China's premier black comedy crew. She became the first black comedian to perform in Mongolia at the inaugural Silk Road International Comedy Festival, July 2019. So please give it up for the amazing Erica Switzer. Woo, 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 woo.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Tom. That's a lot to live up to. I did all of that, and yet here I am on a Tuesday night in front of y'all. 2020. Well, as Tom introduced me, my name is Erica Switzer. I am a black woman with a German name that used to teach English to French kids in Shanghai, China. You can't get more American than that. You might be wondering, what's a sister from Chicago doing in Shanghai? Well, getting in good with our future overlords. Well, you know, I used to love my job. I used to take it seriously. I would teach my kids the classics, like Macbeth. But with Kanye West is Macbeth. Kim Kardashian is Lady Macbeth, you know, the original clout chaser. Because I do believe it was Shakespeare who wrote, "Avast, she be a gold digger." And the lady doth protest a broke ninja. See? I used to teach my kids those classics. I used to also teach them functional stuff, things they need in life, like how to talk black. One of the first words I ever taught them was the word finna. Y'all know finna. I'm fixing to do something. I'm about to do something. So there's nothing like seeing a cute little blonde Parisian boy say, Miss Switzer, so it's like I'm finna go to my next class. Go, Star Pierre. Good job. Miss Switzer, I was finna ask Pierre for a pencil. Axe was the bonus word the previous. Oh, good job, Thomas. Gold star. Gold star. Miss Switzer, if Pierre doesn't give me my pencil back, I'm finna whoop his ass. World star, Juliet. My last year of teaching, they got me to teaching drama, which was fun. And one of my students wanted to write a play based on the life and death of Avril Lavigne. Our favorite Canadian was the first to get on that one. The rest of y'all haven't heard that name since 2006, right? Avril Lavigne, Skater Boy, those classics. She was a girl, he was, you know, some of the whitest songs to ever white. Avril was completely responsible for these. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. I saw this on the internet, so it must be true. Rumor has it the original Avril was killed and replaced with a clone. Right? So I asked the student, I said, so you mean to tell me that the climax of your play is going to be the murderer coming in ever just so softly around the original Avril's neck and singing, "Chill out, what you yelling for"? That's a complicated joke if you didn't get that. Teaching English was one of my strong suits this one time. Look, guys, I used to teach 14-year-olds, okay? 14. You remember how you were at 14, correct? Daniel, I know you know. That was last year, right? And look, my kids would sneak off and they'd pass notes, and I would let them pass notes to an extent. I understand hormones, right? And I see them pass one too many, and I'm like, hey, guys, calm down, calm down. And the student that was passing it, she turns around, she looks at me, and she says, hey, Miss Switzer, I bet you were petty when you were our age. I said, first of all, it's pronounced pretty, Okay. Secondly, I was the sneakiest of sneaks. All right. I knew I had to quit when I had one kid respond to something in a similar situation. And he said, and I quote, "You know what it is." I'm done. I'm out the game. No, really. I had gotten divorced. You know, I came to think about it. You remember Marie Kondo from last year? 2019, you know, if it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out. She was around here sparking so much joy that it gave us the great dumpster fire that is 2020. Right? Like we threw away so much last year. We woke up like we got this. I threw my whole marriage away. Because imagine living for lifetime movie marathons. But divorce sucks, right? Like who has a 5-figure wedding, an exotic honeymoon in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and then says, "Okay, I'm good. This chick right here." And what was crazy about it is that my divorce lawyer was a woman with the last name of Titzer. Right? I kid you not. I kid you not. If this comedy thing doesn't work out, I'm just going to go back to law school. And I figured we'd have the best law commercial song ever. I can hear it now. Get rid of your mister with Titzer and Switzer. It's got a nice ring to it. I like it. I like it. But I moved to Shanghai, China to pursue joy. Nothing you know about China smacks of joy. You know, folks around here blaming current conditions on China. I blame Japan. Fine, Marie, bring her ass. Anyway, at the beginning of the year living in Shanghai, I decided I was going to come home, seeing everything that was popping off, because I realized that America is the only place where even the starving artists are obese. I mean, I'm a tourist, you know, because women, and because I love creature comforts like food and wine and sex. But I don't want to blame when I was born on my diabetes, you know. So I started taking this new medication. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Victoza. Ever heard of it? Victoza. That name alone sounds like a mobster who wears smart suits with sandals. And Victoza over here, you know? And before I even started taking it, I decided I was going to do a little surfing online, read some reviews. First review I saw said, "Difficult to asses." Okay. English teacher Erica is like, "Oh, poor baby, they tried. They tried." But the real Erica's like, "No, difficult to asses. Forget difficult. Give me quantum physics on this ass. Okay? Go hard in the paint, you know." It had gotten so bad for me that leading up to the election, I was stress eating gummy vitamins. It's rough. It's rough. Well, you know, I'm just kind of sitting around here being a stoner, like half of us in this room. So like my boyfriend and I were watching a guy in cowboy garb doing a speed run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the Nintendo, right? Because there's no other way. Because what else do you do at 4:00 on a Wednesday afternoon these days? And my boyfriend reminded me that he's a skilled player, but he gave up on finishing that game. And I reminded him, this is a sound metaphor for my life. I'm a skilled player too, but I cheat. Anyway, fantastic. Please donate to Synetic Theater. Give them bunches of money this holiday season so we can give the gift that keeps on giving.
Woo, 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 woo! Give it up for the amazing Erica Switzer. Oh my god. And I am just completely out of it, so I forgot to mention also our headliner. So thank you so much for closing out the show for us. One last thing, just to remind everybody that yes, we are donating tonight for Synetic Theater's 2020 end of year campaign. I'm blown away by all the support that you guys have already given us and by watching the stream tonight. And don't worry, if you missed some of this broadcast, it will be available to watch later on the District Comedy YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch channels, and you can still donate until the end of the year. This campaign is still going on until 2020 is officially over, so please, if you are able to make a donation of any size, please visit the link in the description or use the QR code. And if you'd like to follow the other comedy things that I do, you can follow on Instagram at district_comedy. And if you look at the description for this episode, you can catch all the Instagram handles of the comics that you saw tonight. So thank you all again so much, and have a great night. That's it.